like if they're looking for extra income or, ways to get out of their job, is like you start part-time and you find something that you enjoy, start doing it slowly. And at some point you get to the point where it's like, hey, now I can see myself transitioning. It's more feasible because I've got current customers and referrals coming in, and then you can make that transition a little bit easier.
Welcome everybody to episode 331 of the Real Estate Podcast. I'm going to be sitting today with Ariel and Adrian of the Kormendy Trott team. My name's James Secondino. I'm from Mint Garage. And today we're going to be talking about business. We're going to be talking about Milton and maybe a few things in between. So hope you enjoy.
Welcome to the Real Estate Podcast, your go-to source for raw, unfiltered stories and expert tips. Whether you're a buyer, seller, tenant, landlord, or realtor, join us as we dive into the world of real estate.
We're not live, but
I don't want to tell you.
We may as well be.
Looks like.
I don't know, between Ariel and I here, there's...
We have to clean and condition this, really.
Isn't that why you got that type of couch, though, so you don't have to clean it?
Well, this is a more sensitive leather.
Yeah. It's
but
wearing,
it is aging nicely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that what you just said?
Wearing.
Okay.
But I meant aging.
Got it.
James Secondino.
I'm here.
Welcome to the Real Estate Podcast.
Thank you for having me.
So we want you to tell everybody a little bit about yourself, who you are, your companies, the tell-all, the origin story, the yada yada. But maybe start with how we connected originally. Mm-hmm. I'll let you tell the story.
I was just trying to figure that out.
I know you tell that story from time to time.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite stories.
And it has to do with this podcast.
It does. It does. Has to do with the podcast, has to do with you guys. It's an incredible story. It's, like I said, one that I love to tell. And so I was sitting in on it was a recital of some sort at the Living Arts Center in Mississauga. My cousin was up on stage, and she's a performer. She does, ballet and stuff like that. So I was trying my best to stay focused during this thing, but I had some notifications popping up on my phone, and one of them tagged Mint Garage. And Mint Garage was a fairly new company at the time. So
this would have been, 2019, 2018?
Yeah, probably 2018 even, maybe, I would suspect.
Yeah.
Somewhere around there. So anyway, I'm getting these notifications, and new company, didn't really think anything of it. In fact, I thought it was a friend of mine sending me a spoof like, hey, look, somebody else has a company called Mint Garage, you idiot. I told you it wasn't going to work.
Yeah.
And, because naturally when you're starting something, you get a lot of, feedback like that too, right? Unfortunately, from the people that you love. But
it's always the people that you love.
Yeah, it's always the people that you love. So anyway, I went out during the intermission. I went outside and I was excited. Now I'm like, okay, now I want to learn more, and I couldn't focus even more at that point. So I go out into the hall during the intermission, and I look at it, and it's you guys doing a podcast, and you're talking about this one house that, you sort of alluded to. It was a little easier to sell because the homeowner paid attention to the small details, even as small as the floor. And I'll never forget, you guys used the phrase, when they opened the door, their eyes beelined to the floor. I remember you guys saying that. So, and you were shouting out Mint Garage, and you sort of put us on a pedestal, and you put me on a pedestal, and it made me feel really, really good. And it was like, man, maybe there is something here. So it boosted me, gave me some confidence, and 7-8 years later, here we are.
That's nice to hear.
And if Adrian may or may not remember this, but so I think you sent us a DM, and we started chatting a little bit after that. Yeah. And you actually came by and brought us a little beer and some treats and this and that, just as a thank you and to introduce yourself.
Absolutely. Yeah, and to see if you guys were real.
Yeah.
Who are these guys? No, but it was that's why I did that for sure.
Yeah, and the house, I think it was that one on Farmstead that Adrian had listed. I don't know if you'll remember that.
I don't remember much of yesterday.
Yeah.
Was it the one we were talking about?
He's still thinking
was one
about
that
eating
you did?
too many goldfish crackers. And
yeah. You've done several of our clients, though. I think you did one for a client of mine out in the Bluffs, larger
Michael,
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I've done a couple of his houses now.
Yeah.
It's funny because that's the one project when they know about us, or we've done a project for them before, and then they move.
Yeah.
Like they call us and they say, they actually call us, and we walk through the house with them as one of their visits. And they're like, hey, James, come measure this up. And we want to do this like the day we move in.
Oh, yeah.
We want it done.
Well, it's a heck of a lot easier than 2 years later pulling all your stuff out of the garage.
Like I had to do.
Yeah. Exactly.
So James did my garage back in 2019. It must have been because I think it was pre-COVID.
Yeah.
And every time, I swear, every time in the summer or the spring when, those days where you're just leaving the garage door open and you're doing some lawn work or you're doing some spring cleaning or whatever, putting lawn furniture out for the season, whatever. So I leave the garage door open. You do this too.
I'll tell you when you get there.
Yeah. Every summer I have at least 5 or 6 people that walk by my house because I have that staggered garage, if you remember.
Yep.
So it's not that far from the sidewalk, and you can see your eyes beeline to the floor.
Yeah.
And I've got those higher intensity lights, and it makes it pop. And everybody's like, "Ooh, I like your floor. How do you like it? Yeah. Where'd you get it done?" And of course, I'm always referring you guys, and I can say with confidence now, 6 years later, once you have a floor like that in your garage, it's almost impossible to have a garage without it.
Right. And it's the way they're meant to be. Like, you should be protecting your concrete, right? No different than something else that you'd be protecting in your home.
It's just, if the garbage, in the wintertime, sometimes you just throw a bag of garbage or whatever. The cleanup, the maintenance, everything is just so nice.
Yeah. Like a garage can be messy, but you don't notice how messy it is necessarily because it still looks really, really clean.
Well, nowadays it has become, and I think a lot of that maybe even happened during COVID. Maybe that was a good thing, good timing for your business where
extension.
It became an extension of the house. People are looking for more square footage, and it's either the basement, the backyard, or the garage.
Yeah.
And whether it was just to make it
have you been into his
nicer
garage?
No. Whether it was just to be like a nicer, more inviting space for typical garage stuff, or it became, like a man cave or a home gym. Like there was a ton of that.
A lot of offices.
Really?
People were setting up their offices like during COVID.
Interesting.
Right? To make it feel like they're, out of they're not at home working, right? Away from the house, not hearing doors slam.
Yeah.
People walking by your office upstairs or toilets flushing and all that stuff. So,
Yeah.
I knew a few guys sleeping in the garage because they liked it. It was so much cooler.
Yeah, they liked
and,
it. They were not allowed to sleep inside, probably.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Well, if you got a nice garage, maybe you don't care.
Maybe you're like intentionally getting in
You
trouble.
have the house, I get the garage.
Yeah. That sounds like a fair trade.
That's my next transition from the basement to the garage.
That's funny.
All right, so let's backtrack now. Give us the origin and the background.
Yeah, so 30 years ago, my uncle was one of the first inventors and engineers of a slot wall product, a PVC panel that went on the inside of a garage so that you could stay organized. And I'll never forget, back then as well, he said, one day this is going to be in everybody's garage, or at least it should be. And 30 years later, it's sort of starting to, pick up some steam. Picked up steam over the years, but now it's
more so now
than ever before. Different companies getting involved and stuff like that. My other uncle ran the manufacturing plant, one of the plants that made this product, along with other window, door profiles, PVC. It was an extrusion business. And 20 years ago was a summer job for me to work in the plant. So I learned extrusion. I spent a lot of time in the tool and die room. Went from working on the line to now I'm in quality control to now I'm testing the different dies that are getting cut for different profiles. So I learned, all about the manufacturing. I moved to Milton, got a house.
Where were you before?
I was in Mississauga.
Okay.
Yeah, Mississauga. So moved to Milton, putting a flag together. Moved to Milton. Called my uncle, same thing, like our clients are saying to us today, come finish our garage. Called my uncle, said, hey, send me some material. I need to finish my garage. And that's exactly what I did. It was September. It was a beautiful Monday morning. I didn't have work that day. So my brother-in-laws and I had just finished the garage that weekend. So I'm sitting there at the bistro, table in the middle of the garage, sipping a coffee, and new neighborhood, neighbors were walking by, and 3 of them sort of beelined,
So this is at your current house?
This is at my current house.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, sort of did a double take.
Yeah.
Walked up a little closer, friendly by nature. So, was saying hello, getting to meet new people in the neighborhood. They wanted to come take a closer look. When they got closer, hey, would you do this? Or who did this was their first question. And when I told them it was me, they asked me if I would do it for them. So
that's how it started.
That's exactly how it started.
Nice.
So I started doing some things on the side.
Entrepreneur story right there, right?
There, yeah.
Some of the best businesses get started
in the garage.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
I was going to say out of the need.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Xerox, Microsoft, Apple, all these big companies, right? Google. Anyway, goes on, and the perpetual motion of an idea continued.
That should be part of your marketing campaign.
What?
The whole premise of starting the business from the garage.
From the garage, yeah. We do a little, some fun stuff.
Play around with that?
Yeah. We could definitely do more, but yeah, it's a good story, I think. And, so I was doing these things on the side. I was still working a full-time job. I was driving around with my wife's SUV, filling it up with, 2 or 3, loads of material sometimes, driving to customers' houses with this, side hustle.
And that was strictly flooring at that point?
No, I wasn't in the flooring business at all yet.
Oh, sorry.
This was just the garage organization.
This was the
stuff.
organization component of it.
So, and then, I'd take another trip or 2 around to buddies' houses and borrowed their tools.
Yeah.
And then I'd go bang out a 2-car garage in 3 days by myself after hours, after work. And then, started getting referrals, started getting more serious. Maybe I should start, hiring some people, training some people to do this, because I don't want to say no to customers. And Milton talk, I remember, we got shouted out there. Mm-hmm. Right. And then, more leads are coming in, and, started getting serious. One day I said to my buddy, I said, look, I know you've seen my garage, but I want to show it to you again. I had moved some things around, sort of cleaned it up a little bit. I said, I want you to come see it one more time, and I want to share with you what I think I'm going to do for a living and quit my job full time. So he comes over. I did the dramatic garage door unveil. He walks in and wide-eyed and goes, this is effing mint. And the next day we called it Mint Garage.
It's a good story.
And that's the story.
I think that's a good story for people too, just in general, with how, like, if they're looking for extra income or, ways to get out of their job, is like you start part-time and you just find something that you enjoy, start doing it slowly. And at some point you get to the point where it's like, hey, now I can see myself transitioning.
Right.
It's more feasible because I've got, current customers and referrals coming in, and then you can make that transition a little bit easier.
Bingo.
Versus just jumping into it.
Absolutely. So. And now we're offering the opportunity to others, right? I had a buddy of mine sit down with me one day. He said, James, what's your best product? And he thought I was going to say the floor or the walls or the car lifts and all the other things that we do now. And I said, it's the opportunity. And he said, what do you mean by that? I said, my ability to sell somebody the opportunity to make a supplemental income part-time. And this sort of came to be when one of my installers said, James, I really love this stuff. And obviously, because he's working with me all the time, really dedicated guy that's still with us today, actually. So our retention's really good too. And I attribute that to, the business model and what we offer beyond just work processing. So I believe that you can either work process or you can work create. So work creation entered the mix when one of our installers one day said, my neighbor wants to get some of this done. And he said, would you let me offer it to him? And I said, sure. And he said, could you cut me a piece of the pie? And I said, absolutely. And so the starting to grow distribution through people that were really getting really good at installing became this opportunity that we started offering to others. And right now, 8 years later, we're in the pre-franchise model because we got so good at developing systems for these people who were coming in part-time. Some of them were quitting their jobs, doing it full-time. We've got a really, really big team now that the next step is franchise.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's something that we've talked about. I'm big on kind of establishing recurring revenues of some kind in a franchise. That's essentially what you're doing. So do you have any concept of what you would be providing those potential entrepreneurs that want to buy into the Mint family? Like, are you decking out a vehicle for them? Like, what are they buying in terms of, here's the initial investment, here's what I'm getting? Is it systems? Is it product? Is it combination of everything?
It's definitely a combination of everything, but what sort of sustains it all and allows the machine to run is system.
Yeah.
Right? So,
and brand,
of course. Yep.
Well, we talked about that last week too, with our CRM and how you build it out to create those processes. And then when you bring people on board, everything's in place. It's just kind of plug and play, essentially, for lack of a better term, but
exactly
gives them a really easy system to run.
Yeah. I mean, McDonald's works because, you buy that thing and it's a machine, right? You don't have to figure anything out. You don't have to source your own food. You don't have to find your own suppliers. They've got all those processes. So we've dialed that in. And now we're just centralizing it so that it's more duplicatable. And then, what supports that are other things like you were saying, the brand and the infrastructure and the support and the team. So, we're excited.
So I came to learn at my last visit at your house that your wife is part of the company now.
Yes.
How is that working out?
Yeah, we just try to avoid each other and everything gets done nicely.
So that's what we got to do.
Yeah.
We're
just spend some
not
time
that
away.
You're my husband.
You and me?
Yeah.
No, I mean, it's great. We have common goals, things that, we're chasing together for our family, for our kids, for our life, and our business is the means how. So to be able to talk about those things too,
well, it's her full-time job now, right? So I think that's pretty cool that you've been able to build the business to where it can support the whole family.
Yeah, absolutely. And other families at this point now too. So, it's really cool. No, but it's great. I mean, she's good at things that I suck at and I'm good at things that, she's not so good at. So we really complement each other and it's mint.
So what are buyers, your customers, what are your customers what's on trend right now? What are they most requesting?
It's always the foundation, right, of a nice floor and then, some garage organization. One is usually the lead to the other, right? The door opener to the other.
I got only my floor done and I'm regretting not having you. And I know you tried to convince me at that time.
Yeah.
Get it all done.
Sure.
And I think I probably at some point will have to do it. But now, like Adrian said, I got to take out so much stuff from there.
I know. Well, I mean, if you're doing a floor and you spent good money on it, why would you just put things back on top of it?
Right.
Right. So the garage organization stuff is such a key component. Plus, you're spending so much money on stuff, and then you're just throwing it on the floor, or you're losing it. It's getting damaged,
stepped on, whatever.
So, are the accessories? Are they kind of universal accessories that you can just go to? Like you sell those as well, I assume.
We actually manufacture our own now.
Oh, nice.
Through a separate business of mine, because Mint has sort of become a prototype of a successful garage organization company that I'm teaching the model to other businesses in our space. Why would I do that? Well, because I also own a manufacturing business that actually makes our own slot wall panel now. So I took what I learned from manufacturing. I took what I learned from installing various slot wall products, got feedback from our team, learned that there were different things that we could do to be more friendly, user-friendly for the homeowner. I didn't know when we created the product that we have now, which is called Smart Slat, that it could speed up an installation as well. So it's better for the business owners as well. So we created a universal non-proprietary system. So as long as there's a 90-degree angle on the back of the hook, basket, shelf, you can pick these things up anywhere. We do manufacture our own that pair nicely. They, the color of them, it just matches our panel well, but you can virtually pick up accessories anywhere.
And made in Canada.
And made in Canada.
Which couldn't be more important than ever before.
That's right. Yeah. Nobody wants to say the taboo T word right
now.
That's okay.
That's Which funny. One?
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
So that's that's Mint Garage. That's Smart Slab.
Any evolution of the garage that's happening now? Any new products aside from what you just mentioned? Like where do you see the next 2, 3, 5 years of Mint and Mint offerings that might be new to some people?
That's a really good question. I mean, the fact of the matter is there's just so many garages that aren't getting done.
Right.
Or that aren't finished.
There's so many garages that we wish would.
I know, I bet.
As the ones responsible for selling those products.
Yeah. Well, have you guys noticed, by the way, that if a garage is done, that it's easier to sell the house?
You know what I find funny though is like 100%, I agree with you, is even still there's a lot of houses we go into where they have really nice decked out garages, or not, did I say garages we go into? Houses we go into.
Yeah.
Where the garage is really nice, but the listing doesn't showcase it at all.
Yeah, I've noticed that.
Yeah.
Is that done? Why is that done? Why don't you showcase the garage?
Good question.
Why are there?
You'd think.
Why are there 100,000 realtors in Ontario and only 98,000 of them are, and 98,000 of them aren't doing any business?
Yeah, true.
Right?
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's not necessary.
But it adds tons of value. Yeah. And by pointing it out, I mean, most people are going to go in and see it, but they may not actually notice it or appreciate it as much as if it was truly showcased.
Yeah.
But speeds up the sale, adds value.
It's turnkey.
And it's something that I don't think wears really. Like you do it and it's there. Like, what is the lifespan on something like that?
Oh, man.
Basically forever, really.
Absolutely.
So people, you do it early, enjoy it, and you retain the value of it for resale.
Well, there's also a difference if you highlight something properly, right? Like saying epoxy floor.
What does that mean to me?
You could have gone to Home Depot and grabbed a couple of gallons of crap, $40 whatever, and rolled it on yourself. Yeah, I have an epoxy floor. Mm-hmm. But what is it? Is there a warranty? What's the benefit? The feature, the benefit.
Is it true epoxy?
Yeah.
Right.
Does it have a polyaspartic? Is that the right?
Yeah.
The coating on top.
Yeah. Is it UV stable? Is it is there a moisture barrier?
Okay, well, actually, let's talk about that for a second because you're starting to rhyme off that list.
Sure. Talking jargon.
What should people look out for? So if they are interviewing you and maybe another company, or they're thinking, "Oh, I can do this myself for a couple $100 and take a couple of weekends and do it," what are the differences?
Read the packaging. On the back of a product that you can pick up at a Home Depot or a big box store, I mean, they have their applications, but a lot of them are acrylic based, or they have some solvent or water based epoxy. They can advertise it as epoxy though because it has components of, right? And so they can advertise it as such. Acrylic and water base, anything, doesn't bond well with concrete.
Because of the moisture in the concrete?
Because of that, because the mechanical bond that should occur, it doesn't do so well with products that have those two components. So it's more susceptible to failing, right? The other challenge is the prep. That's huge, right? If you're not prepping your floor properly, then it's also not going to bond.
I remember in my garage, you guys took like a full 3-4 guys took a full day almost of just preparation
of grinding.
Yeah.
Right. These packages that you're buying at, like I said, at a big box store, the prep involved is usually an acid etch, right? So you're mixing this packet with water, throwing it on there and brushing it to create an abrasive surface, which does work. You'll notice it'll get salt and peppery and you'll start to break down that concrete. The challenge is now you've introduced water and moisture into the slab, which maybe had moisture there before, but definitely does now.
Yeah.
And moisture is not going to go away. I mean, you guys know, for weeks, maybe months, depending on the time of year. Then you're putting a water base or an acrylic based product on top of something that is probably bound to fail anyway on top of a slab now that has moisture in it,
And you happen to do it in the fall and it falls below zero that night?
Yeah. Doesn't work. So prep is huge. Product is huge. The products that we use, you can't buy over the counter, right? You need to understand how it works. Oftentimes you need a special material handler's license to be able to do so.
I was going to ask you if you need licensing.
Yeah. So
is any of it flammable?
I already told him the story.
It's not an oil.
Yeah.
I heard it's not combustible.
Yeah.
So that's funny.
So I don't know if you want to go down that path for our followers and listeners and our clients that have interest in getting something done. Specific, we hear most and get questioned the most about the epoxy flooring and finishing the floor. So what's the process with getting a quote? And do you want to give like a ballpark for somebody to say, oh, it might be this much money?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll start off with that right away. A single car garage, a couple grand, maybe 3, 2-car garage, 3 to 4, 3-car garage, 4 to 5. And it always depends, there's a range. Obviously there's some variables. What's the concrete look like? Is there moisture in the slab?
Do you go up the sides?
On going up the foundation walls, right? The footings.
I had 100 square feet of
foundation wall.
A foundation wall that they had to do.
Right. And the way they form them, you got that nasty edge that, we chip those off and then grind them. Mm-hmm. And then we will fill in the patches all the way around. We'll skim coat those foundation walls with another prep material first after we've hand grinded everything. So it's quite the process. And the challenge is people are sort of qualifying how much this might cost because they saw a kit at Home Depot for $300 and we're 10 times that for something similar and they don't understand. So we're just doing our best to educate people. But so those are the ranges for floors. And if anybody wants a quote, info@mintgarage.ca or our 800 number, 888-901-MINT or 6468 at the end. And we'll put them in touch with, if you're calling here, if you're in Milton, then I'll probably come visit you myself. But we're as far as Ottawa. We have distribution in British Columbia, Alberta.
I didn't realize you're going out of province already.
Yeah.
Good for you.
We've scaled quite a bit over the last 8 years. And but with that, we've built some really good relationships with other companies that we trust that, we'll refer if we can't get to those ourselves.
Okay, enough shop talk.
Yeah, enough shop talk.
Let's talk a little Milton.
Okay.
I'm just going to blindside you for a second.
Sure. Won't be the first time.
Your favorite things to do in Milton. So because now we've got a lot of people moving to Milton, they're not from Milton, and even a lot of people that currently live here that, they didn't know anything coming to Milton, right? They bought the new build home and thought it's a great place, but really don't know Milton.
Right.
You like to get around Milton and take advantage of everything this town has to offer. So what are your favorite things to do around?
Number one is eat.
Yeah.
I love me a good meal.
Yeah.
So
we haven't broken bread together yet. We got to go for a meal.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to do that.
Favorite places to eat in Milton right now?
Oof. Grand chalet. I got to hand it to Grand Chalet.
You want the spaducci?
I love the spaducci. I love the gnocchi alla vodka. Grand Chalet. For me, Grand Chalet is sort of just a nostalgic feeling place because
it's the mom and pop kind of.
I feel like a lot of people don't even know about it.
They don't.
Well, it's kind of hidden, tucked away, right? It's tucked away. They don't do much marketing or advertising or anything.
Yeah.
It's been there for a long time.
Yeah. So, no, Grand Chalet has a special place for us because where I grew up in Etobicoke, my grandparents' basements or living rooms looked like looked like the Grand Chalet.
Yeah.
So with the brick and in the basement. So anyway, stuff like that. Grand Chalet, love that. They're always really, service is amazing. The food's always consistent and great prices.
Yeah,
right?
very reasonable.
Yeah. Like you can feed the whole family and more with takeout or take home at the end of it. Just went to Marquee recently, a couple of weeks ago, since they've moved from Steele's.
Yep.
That it reminded me a lot of like an Oakville restaurant.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
Right.
Especially if you go in the summer and they have the front windows open.
Yeah. Yeah. We went there when it was pretty blizzardy out. It was when the snow was coming down pretty hard a couple of weeks ago, but that was a great atmosphere and service again. And the food was top notch.
It's definitely on the higher price point.
Yeah, it is. It is. So
you're going out for a special occasion.
It was a special occasion with some really good friends. Oh man, on the spot here. What else do I like? Eighth Note is a cool place, cool vibe.
You were just there a couple weeks ago.
I only just went there for my first time maybe a month or two ago.
Yeah.
For a lunch. And I've been 2 more times. I like it.
Yeah.
Never very busy though. But that's
Do you
what's
remember?
Funny. It's never
Sorry.
No, it's okay.
Do you remember back, this would have been, what year? 2005. So like 20 years ago, you and I used to go there after work and it was still the post office. Do you remember that?
No. I don't remember going there ever. On the patio or inside?
No, inside.
No, I do not remember that.
You seriously don't? We used to go quite a bit. I would say at least no less than once a month. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
No, I can't remember that. I mean, maybe it's changed so much over the years, I just don't recognize it anymore.
Oh, it was very different on the inside.
Yeah.
And
Very
there was
different.
no such thing as a patio outside.
It used to be a Saucy's too. I think it was called Saucy's.
That didn't last very long.
It was saucy. No. It was, Pretty Rad before.
Yeah.
What was it in between Saucy and Pretty Rad? Was there something?
I think so.
There's been a few.
Yeah, after the post office, it was a couple of other things. You don't remember that?
I honestly don't remember ever going there with you.
Oh my God.
I thought like the first time I ever walked in there was not long ago with Steve Cicchetto for a lunch.
Oh, no. You and I, we were single at the time, had nothing to do after work. We always had drinks after work, and that was one of the spots we would go.
I'm losing my memory.
Oh, man, you're getting old. Well, it was 20 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
You guys have been in Milton that long? 20
Well,
years?
we were working for Milton Toyota, Milton Hyundai, and Gord's Auto Group. Since
Well, Hyundai didn't exist at
Hyundai
that point.
didn't exist way back then, but that would have been early 2000s, right?
Well, I was saying 2005, 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Long time.
Yeah, and it was the post
There's
office.
30,000 people here.
Yeah. I remember that.
Yeah.
And now it's 140.
Nuts.
Yeah.
Nuts. So,
Okay, anything else that you love to do around town?
yeah. I love
Besides from eating?
there's a lot of,
You don't golf, so we know golfing's not among them, although there's some good options in town.
yeah, there are. I'm going to start golfing. But yeah, I like, there's this dad's group, of course. That
Dad's
I was going to
Milton.
bring that up.
Yeah. So through this dad's group, there's a lot of pickup activities like soccer, pickup basketball. So doing stuff like that, I like to stay active that way.
I've been meaning to hop into the Wednesday billiards.
Yeah, there's billiards at Champs.
Yeah,
I pop in
I like
there
their
every once in a while.
new billiard setup there.
I had no idea that they even had a room or a hall that you
Yeah.
had to walk
I
20,
think
20 minutes through
It's
to get to it.
impossible to
I thought
find.
they used to have just a couple tables up top
Up
somewhere.
top the bar.
Up top,
And
yep.
then this year we did our Christmas party for the company there, and we spent the last half of it in the billiards room, and
Right.
I was blown away. It was huge.
It is huge.
Yeah.
It is huge. So, and you would have never suspected. Like I
No.
didn't know that those rooms existed there.
Yeah.
So Champs, that building is absolutely massive. So
And their escape rooms are pretty cool.
I've never tried the escape rooms.
You haven't?
What
They're
about
good.
the axe throwing? You ever tried that there? They have axe throwing.
No, I
too.
haven't done it there, but I have done it before.
Yeah.
Again, at one of our Christmas parties.
Cool.
Yeah, drunken axe throwing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, funny you should say that. We were drunk. Well, Christmas party, everybody was drinking for those that drink. And I remember we were doing so we started here. We had it catered by Mint Leaves.
Mint Leaves,
Mint
Miracle.
Leaves Miracle, yeah. And then we walked over to Champs and we did the escape room, and I was already pretty drunk, right? Because I'd been drinking for hours now. And and everybody that wasn't drinking or only had like one, when they were figuring out the puzzle, and I'm just standing there going, how are you guys figuring all this out? And then after the escape room, the lady walked us to the billiard room, and there was no way I was leaving because I didn't know how to get back. It's like a maze.
There's another
right?
escape room.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Well, James, really appreciate having you on. We consider you a great friend, business ambassador, and great entrepreneur. We love what you're doing and what you contribute back to the community, and can't wait to see all the amazing things you got in the next 5 to 6 plus years.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
I imagine big things based on where you're going.
Yeah, that's the plan.
Yeah.
That's the plan for others now, right? Like, I'm sort of happy with what I've got, right? My family's good. Kids are good. We're all healthy. Now it's how can we help others on the business side, right? Help them use our opportunity to win too.
I like it.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
That's a wrap. Thanks, James.
Appreciate it. Thank you, guys. Well, that's a wrap. Thanks for watching. That was a lot of fun. Thank you, Ariel and Adrian, for having me. If any of you viewers would like to get a hold of myself or Mint Garage, you can reach out to us via email, info@mintgarage.ca or 1-888-901-MINT, or visit our website, www.mintgarage.ca. Again, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and we'll see you on the next one.